So this back half of the year has been very good so far for ADA. Obviously, July was good. August has been good. And I'm hoping that this obviously carries through the rest of Q3 and into Q4. And we have some great things coming down the pipeline. Again, midnight launch, Glacier airdrop, Ouroboros Laos, and on a larger scale macro perspective, we have rate cuts. We have potential pause of QT, a lot of things that can put regulation, right? A lot of things that can frankly put some wind in our sails. And I have a lot of people asking me questions about, when should I be doing some DCAing out? What price should I take profit at? And I can't tell you guys exactly what that is. I'm not a financial advisor. That's not what we do here on the channel. But I thought this was a good discussion because I want to show people some levels that ADA may in fact struggle with, or some ranges that we might see a little bit of retracement at. We're going to talk about that in this video. So again, if you guys haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So this is just my thoughts, my perspective on this. And what we have to remember is things for ADA can get pretty wild as the year progresses. Obviously, we have a lot of launches, and what we also have that we're dealing with too is very thin liquidity in certain ranges. We have very little ADA actually floating around in exchanges right now, and there are some things that can really drastically change the way that this market cycle is going to move. One, if you see a lot of people moving capital around the crypto market, moving from asset to asset, and a lot of that money moving to ADA, which actually right now ADA dominance has been climbing, which is a good sign that that's actually taking place. That could in fact accelerate things, especially once we start getting into retail adoption. Retail adoption is the big thing, again, that we've been waiting for, that hasn't really been taking place, that can move ADA very, very quickly to the upside. Now, what I did want to show you guys, and this might hurt your eyes, it definitely hurts my eyes, but I actually looked at these fib retracements from last market cycle, from the early part of this market cycle, and from our most recent pump that we've been on here. And what we're seeing is actually some ranges that have held up very good when it comes to price. And this might actually be doing a good job of predicting where we might see a little bit of pushback in terms of the charts. We're not really seeing a whole lot right now, but there are some ranges we need to watch very closely. So when we're looking at this, you guys can see, I'm gonna try to hopefully make this as clear as possible. We can see that there is a very tight range right up here between $1.17 through $1.20 or so. And that makes sense. That is actually where ADA saw some fight when it was trying to get back to obviously $1.33, that high from all the way back in December. It got rejected here in January. It got rejected here again in March. And so that technically might be the next range that ADA is actually going to face some major resistance. Once we run past $1.08, there's not a whole lot in these ranges that's preventing us from to keep us from going up to here, right? So that might be where we kind of bang our head on this for just a moment. But it's really going to depend on, the news in the market as well, right? Are we still getting the same confidence that we've been seeing, throughout this rally here, right? Are we seeing potentially crypto legislation? Obviously, there's been discussions around this in September. Guys, September is not that far away. It's 14 days away. It's coming very quick, okay? And that means that, the fall can be a pretty good time for crypto. Obviously, I'd love for September to even be bigger than August has been, but just something to pay attention to nonetheless. Now, again, looking up here, we might fight this $1.33 level just a little bit, but for the most part, there's not a whole lot all the way up until about $1.92 through about $1.98. And that actually makes a lot of sense that this would be one of our next big ranges that we're going to fight. Because guys, when we take a look back at this chart here in terms of ADA, where is our breakout at from this longer term trend? Depending on the timeline, look at this, right up at about $1.90 through $1.95. Okay, so right in that price range where we would probably see some resistance. And that actually makes a whole lot of sense from a historic standpoint, because when we take a look back at last market cycle and we were doing the same thing, found the same trends, which we're doing here, what did we do? We went on this nice rally to the upside. This was in November of 2020. We actually hit this resistance, got rejected, and actually bounced around here for about a month. Okay. So that might be actually where ADA, I don't want to say struggles just a little bit, but where we see just a little bit of pause before it decides to actually run a little bit further. Where does ADA run to from there then? Well, we can see some resistance at kind of a tighter zone again, right up here at about, what is that, $3.03 through the all-time high, which is about $3.13 or so, which makes a lot of sense. And then we're kind of in no man's land. All the way up here, you guys can obviously see 502. That's actually at our 1618 line from last market cycle. We can obviously see all the way up here at about $8 as well. So that could even be, again, that's the start of our range for projections we've talked about in this market cycle. But those are definitely some ranges that I would watch very closely for ADA. And I'm really curious to see how the mindset changes as we approach those, because down here people are still saying, oh, ADA's dead, ADA sucks, it's not really moving anywhere. Well, when we get all the way up here around $2, I think I think things get quite a bit. I'm gonna make a megaphone here. I think things get quite a bit louder. People start talking about ADA a lot more. There's more wind in our sails. We have the midnight launch. There's probably an ADA spot ETF sometime in our horizon here as well. And that might be just enough where this wave just turns into a big tsunami. It just keeps building and building and building, right? That's how this might all work out perfectly from a time standpoint. Now, that being said, people have to take profits whenever it's best for them, right? Your plan might be different from my plan, might be different from somebody else's, okay? You have to do you. You have to take profit when you think it makes sense. And there will be times where things probably change as we move through this cycle, right? Things aren't always consistent. Even the time frame for this market cycle hasn't quite been right. Remember, typically in March through May of 2025 should have been the time that we were setting new highs across the market, and instead we were just cratering, right? There was just so much negative sentiment and garbage in this market that it's given us some good and bad things, right? It's been bad from a price performance perspective. Across the space, we should be doing a lot better things, but it's also given us a unique opportunity to accumulate in these dips and at cheaper prices than I think we would have normally been given the gift of in this market cycle. And again, right now we're still here before the masses. We're still here before really institutional adoption. And I'm talking about in terms of ADA and other altcoins as well. We're here before enterprises really hit the gas. They've been starting to obviously ramp up, but we have a lot of exciting times ahead. We haven't even seen the beginning of the big embrace yet. We're still at 5 to 6% of the world. And that's what really gives me a lot of excitement for where things can head towards. So that's my thoughts on this. I appreciate you guys as always. Let me know what you think. Do you think those are the ranges where ADA is going to see some resistance? Can we just absolutely blow past those? Will the time frames be different? But have a great day. Show your love below. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.